So, another thing I wanted to cover was sort of, and this is something I kind of wanted, like, this is something I've been wanting a lot of VTubers to think about because
Yeah.
I see a lot of, because I read a lot of conversation online in the Twitter space and everything, um, and something I think is important for people to think about is creating a purpose with their content. What do you think
Yes.
about that?
Yes, preach. I think if you don't have a purpose, then it's going to be really hard to grow. There's a lot of people that go in with the mindset that they just want to be funny or they just want to be entertaining, and there's no like real true core purpose to why they're creating. And a lot of those creators are going to find it very difficult to grow because if you don't have a core reason for why you're creating and what direction you want to go in, you are not going to do a very good job. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you need to go in with a plan, you need to go in with a purpose, and that is what's truly going to set you up for success.
Yeah, because I hear so many stories of like people who like become VTubers with the expectation of them like turning on the go live button and expecting like the viewers and subs and stuff to flow through when it's just that's just not the case. You have to like really build you have to build a content plan. You almost have to like build a business plan for it almost. Like do
Yep,
you
I built my business plan. I got a business model. I got all sorts of worksheets I filled out.
now did you do that before you started the VTuber channel?
No, I did not. That was something that I learned from Stream Coach Academy, and now I do it regularly. Like every few months, I refill out my business model. I refill out. There's something called like the four quads of life, where you divide your life into where you want to be 4 years from now. One is
Mhm.
financial, one's relationships, health, and then let me see what's the last one. Health, relationships, financial, and professional. And there's
Okay.
all sorts of different exercises and stuff that you can do.
That's super interesting. Yeah, because like I found myself having to do that like midway too, because
Yeah.
I did take like a small hiatus from streaming because like one of the reasons was I wanted to find my purpose. I wanted to figure out, okay, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? Like what do I want my viewers to carry home with them,
Yeah.
and what
Good for
cause is what I
you.
want to. Yeah. So like I
Yeah.
had to put a lot of thought into it because I didn't really think about it. Like because when I started VTubing, I sort of did it as like oh hey I'm just gonna do this for fun. I'm gonna do like
Same. Yeah.
I'm gonna like I first started like by streaming Dark Souls 3. I was like doing like some Dark Souls 3. I was like hey Goofy Dragon Girl plays Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And like
Yes.
and people loved it, but I was just like oh like what kind of what kind of like greater thing do I want to do here? What do I want to drive home for people? Because I also knew if
Right.
I wanted to keep growing, I had to set a greater purpose. I had to really push myself. I
Yes.
had to take myself out of my comfort zone like a lot. You know, um,
Absolutely. I'm so glad you did that. So many people can't even realize like that far into it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
found that like I wanted to support, I found myself wanting to support other VTubers and wanting to
Mhm.
support charitable causes,
That's amazing.
like cuz one thing I wanted to do, I did like a birthday charity stream and I actually raised $640 for the Ali Forney Center, which
Yes.
is
Let's go.
yeah, it was really exciting.
That's
I
amazing.
was freaking out. And like my mind was roasted by the end of that night because like I wasn't expecting that kind of support,
Mhm.
and it was supporting a cause that meant a lot to me because
Yes.
it's basically what it is. It's a LGBT like Q friendly and tailored homeless shelter in New York City.
Wow.
And it's a cause that means a lot to me because like growing, I was in a very conservative like neighborhood and in high school, and I had a lot of friends who were kicked out of their homes and stuff like that for being gay, transgender, stuff like that.
Wow.
And
It gets
that's
that
rough.
intense? People kick them out of their house?
Yeah, it's
Oh
really
my
rough. It's
goodness.
really rough. I've literally had friends who I'd be really good friends with in high school, and I wouldn't be allowed to visit them at their house because their parents wouldn't let me in because of my sexuality. Like,
That's terrible.
it's really terrible, and it's really like being out on the streets is not good. It's not a good place to be.
Oh,
It's a very dangerous place to be. So something raising money for something like that, as someone who has seen a lot of people end up that, on that path, and really being worse for wear for it, that like really meant a lot to me. you
for
know
sure.
so like I always go down to, what cause do I want to support, what message do you want to send to your viewers, and kind of what the end goal is, when it comes
Yes.
to what you want your content to be, and more than just financial, but also just like, because I like, it is important to want to look after your finances and be able to support your family and everything. Like that stuff is really cool and all, but like you gotta think about your viewers. You gotta think about what you're giving, and because you always want to give as much as you can. You want to be able to give as much, if not more, than what you receive.
Yes, I'm right there with you. I think the giving aspect of being a not even just a content creator, but just a kind human being, someone who, values and the well-being of other people, that is so important. So it's so cool to hear that that's such an important part of your value system. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
know, so like when you looked at your own stream and like you were drafting your business plan, what were some things that came to mind for your own stream and your own content?
Yeah, so for one, I wanted my stream to be a very positive place, and one of the best ways we implemented that was through creating a family-friendly stream. I understand that there's a lot of kids who watch VTubers because we're like anime characters to them, so it's I know there's a younger audience, and I want to create a family-friendly environment where people can relax and be comfortable. And it's not even family-friendly just for like kids. I kind of use it as like an excuse a lot. While it is 100% true, I've made it family friendly for my own mental well-being and to protect other people as well, because some people just don't want to be around like toxic energy, like dark energy where people are bringing negative really negative things up, or even like people that are swearing or bringing up lewd things, or people who are bringing up like risque topics, or just and same for drugs and alcohol. I'm very
Yeah.
anti like most of that stuff, and I just want to have a place where I can just be happy and be positive, enjoy myself. So that was kind of like when I was creating my community, I was like, what is a place that I would want to show up to every day? And where's a place that I would truly feel comfortable and feel like I can thrive in growing as a person? So just creating that really cozy, friendly, vibe was very important to me. And then also next to that, a place of education, because one of my most important values as a human being is to grow and to become a better version of who I was yesterday. So if I can educate people and teach them how to be better, whether it's through their health, whether it's through their art skills, their mentality, whatever the case may be, if we can pass on education, if I can always be teaching people how to be 1% better, then that would be the perfect environment that I would want to be in. So it's kind of like scratching my own itch by creating this environment of positivity, education, and then of course helping other people. How can we give back and pass that information down so we can all grow together?
Yeah, I mean, like all those things like are a really good set of values to set for a stream, and can really hit, a good niche, because yeah, I mean there is a lot of like VTubers out there that like aren't so like say so in their content, and
Yeah.
like even my own streams, I'm not like super say so with my own either, and that's
Yeah.
and that's just kind of how I do with like my streams. But like it's cool. It's really cool that you have created that space for people who want to be away from that, because that is something that's hugely lacking in the VTuber community, is
I 100% agree.
family friendly streams. Like it's something
Yes.
that's actually like hugely lacking. um
Yeah.
so like that's something that's really cool. um
Thank you.
and and I think it always comes down to, I always find that people who focus on giving and focus on, helping other people are the ones that always succeed. Because, you
Yes.
know, because when you're going in just wanting to get famous or wanting to get a certain amount of money out of doing it, it sort of falls apart. It's
Yeah.
like you're playing Jenga, and all the blocks in the bottom are gone, and it's gonna
Yeah,
like topple
agreed.
over, it's gonna be
Amazing
all
analogy.
wobbly. There isn't gonna be that foundation, you know.
Right.
because I always find that like the biggest streamers, because like I've looked at a lot of like streamer interviews. I listen to a lot of streamer interviews while I work, and like I notice like often the bigger the streamer is, the more humble they are almost, that they're just like, yeah, I wanted to just kind of do this as a way of giving back to people, and paid off to them in dividends, because they weren't they expected nothing. And I think
Yeah.
it's good to go in with the expectation of expecting nothing, because you know when you get something, that's just a bonus on top of whatever you're personally gaining from it.
For sure. I totally agree with you. I think helping is a core part of why people should be a content creator if that's some a path that they want to take. But I also personally think that it's unrealistic for people to just say that they don't expect anything in return because like initially when I started like that was my whole thing was I just want to keep giving to people and if I get stuff in return, that's great. But my mindset has changed like now that I'm actually trying to build a business, I think people shouldn't feel bad either for expecting something back for the hard work they put into the world because I think you can also get into this really negative space where you feel almost guilty to build a product or to charge for your time or to charge somebody for something. Like even when I started with stream coaching stuff, I felt kind of guilty about like charging people for my time, but it goes back to like the sense of self-worth. So while I agree with you, it's very important to be starting your initial values to be helping people. I
Hmm.
also think that we shouldn't be afraid to ask for money or something in return that's going to be able to support us as well.
Okay, yeah. So like, yeah, I'm just gonna like think on that for a second. So basically, what you're saying is that it's like it's almost like when you're saying go in not expecting anything, it's kind of like it's almost like a form of self deprecation almost in the form of like you know under the impression of looking in a way like staying humble and trying to like go in not without putting a lot of expectations on other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to definitely stay humble, but I'm also saying to not like sell yourself short. Like you don't want
Mhm.
to give everything you are and not get anything in return because like as much as I would love to like always just make free content, that's literally like an impossibility for me as a person. Like if people want me to be able to put food on the table and like drink water and like be able to live in my house, I do need to expect something in return if this is something like I'm doing full time unless I am have something else I'm already pursuing on the side that's full time, that's not content creation, that's already supporting those things. But if this is like a full time journey for yourself, I think it doesn't hurt to like if you're giving some sort of value to someone that they give you some sort of value in return. And that doesn't always have to be in money. That can literally just be like a thank you note. Just like, hey, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you doing this. It doesn't always have to be like in a financial sense, but just some sort of way to like return and show your value and show that you care about the person giving you so much time and energy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like it's because that is something I always find myself appreciating too, is when someone like comes up to me and they're like, "Wow, like I really enjoyed that stream," or "I really appreciate what you have to say there," stuff like that. Like that is something that can go a long way, because they're like bad streamer morale is a thing, and it does hit us at times.
Yeah.
Like there are times where I can get down about my own content, and sometimes like that little thank you note like pushes us through that.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, going back to that discussion though, like I guess one of the reasons why I was kind of trying to pull it in that direction was like I know because I see this being an issue a lot with artists. Like I see a lot of artists that like heavily undercharge or like
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
yeah, or like do like very little or like ask very little and not like really expect anything. And would you say there's like sort of like a like something synonymous between that and like how streamers do things?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like, but I'd say a lot of streamers that are starting it out as a hobby don't even understand the fact that they can build their stream and their content creation into like a business. I don't think a lot of people know that. So maybe like, but once they get to that level, yeah, I think it just goes back to like this self-worth thing where we feel afraid to like ask for things in return. And even artists, like you said, like there's a lot of artists who way undercharge their work. And again, I just think that's like a deep internal thing that they need to work on, myself included.
Yeah. And like and this is something I talked about on one of my streams one time. I I personally feel, and this is gonna be like a weird psychoanalytical hypothesis. So, I kind of feel like it sort of stems from like, have you? So like, I feel like everyone in our generation has, been in a high school or middle school art class drawing anime or manga or whatever, only to get told by the art teacher, hey, you shouldn't be drawing that. That's
Yeah.
that's not going to be applicable in the real world. You're not going to get a career, with that type of art style. It's not the proper way to draw, stuff like that. And in some ways, I understand it because it's like it's very important to practice proper anatomy and stuff like that as a foundation.
Right.
But at the same time, like they really bashed like um they kind of just like bashed anime style art from the get, and I think with it now rising into something that's very commercially viable, I feel like it's kind of left us, this generation of artists that are kind of feeling like they almost don't deserve it. What do you think?
Yeah, so can you like reframe the question a bit? Like I was listening to everything you said, but what exactly like is your question regarding that?
I was just kind of stating a hypothesis, and I was wondering like if you agreed with that or if that made any sense to you.
Yeah, so could you like just like put it into like a sorry, like a simple sentence? My brain's a little scrambled today.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. So basically, my hypothesis was, um, I feel a lot of artists, especially like in the anime fandom space and
Yeah.
stuff like
Oh, yes,
that.
yes, yes. Okay,
Yes,
okay, it's coming
yes,
back. Got you.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
They tend
So,
to be more self-deprecating about their art or feeling undeserving of what they
yeah.
get in return of it, because of like how a lot of high school and middle school like art curricula were very very like against,
Anti-anime.
yeah, anti-anime.
Yeah. So I think I had kind of dealt with this recently with like an art teacher I had. Like you said, the fundamentals are so important to learn because it's kind of like the if you don't know the rules or you need to know the rules before you break them. But I
Yes.
also think it's really important to be able to do anime stuff because there is a market out there for it. And VTubing has literally proved this. Like there like people are getting their avatars made like in an anime style and I had my art teacher, he would say like, "Oh, you like this anime thing, like you really need to learn the fundamentals because if you want to get hired by a game studio, you need to have like a more western realistic art style." But
Yeah.
I completely disagreed with him because if you want to be and you know this too cuz we've been talking about like owning your own business
Yeah.
and being a freelancer, there are so many ways to monetize and be able to make anime art for literally a living, whether that's through commissions, making VTuber stuff, doing YouTube videos, whatever. So I think the art style really doesn't have a lot to do with it. I think it depends like on the person's ambitions, and that's like educators should be looking at that. Like, what is the student's ambition? Like, where do they want to go? Because I think we should be saying like, yeah, you can do anime, but if you're gonna do anime, this is why I think you should learn the fundamentals. But what is your anime for? Do you plan on selling a manga? Do you plan on doing like a two? Like, I think like people just need to be more educated that it is a path you can take.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. And I definitely feel like, while well intentioned, it kind of left us with yeah, all these artists that kind of feel like, yeah, because there's a lot of artists I'll talk to, and I notice like so many artists I talk to on Twitter, they'll just like self bash their own art, or they'll be like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that my art sucks, or my content sucks, or oh, I wasn't expecting you to like that because I think what I do is like not that good, and I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are really down about their art, and something I kind of seek to want to do is to have people kind of look at it in a more positive light, because I think it's just a lot of people putting themselves down, because of how they might have been put down about it in the past, because back when we were younger, this anime stuff wasn't as cool as it was now, like, people
Yeah.
gotta realize, like, it's cool now, like, it's, you're what you're doing is cool, and what we're all doing is cool, and I mean, it always was cool, it's kind of being shown to a more broader scope of an audience now, and is becoming gradually more and more mainstream in a very cool way.
Right.
Like, have you seen? I don't know if you saw. I don't know if it was probably like a year or two ago. Do you remember the Goku Thanksgiving parade float?
No, what?
Yeah,
No, I've
yeah.
never heard of that
So
before.
like 2 years ago,
What?
it was like 2 years ago. There was a Goku parade float at the Macy's Thanksgiving parade, and it
That's
was it
literally
was huge.
amazing.
Yeah, it was literally like floating through like Times Square, like in New York. Yeah, it was
That makes me
enormous.
actually so happy. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, I think there was that, and I think there was also a Pikachu one there.
Yes,
Don't entirely recall. Yeah, I think there was a Pikachu one, but
let's
there
go.
was literally like anime themed floats at the Macy's Day Thanksgiving parade, and you can check that out online. Oh, bless you, bless
Excuse
you.
me, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, and I think like I think that for creatives, I think a lot of creatives are sort of become an artist or they become someone like a musician or something like that because there's usually a lot of like deep internal pain. I think that's where a lot of people are able to create from, which means like artists already initially have this sort of this really under like lying security of low self-worth, which is why they either undersell themselves or bash their own art is because that's kind of like how creativity is born. It's like sad to say, but it's a huge part of why people create as an outlet for those emotions of insecurity.
yeah. I would
Mhm.
definitely agree with that. Like in some ways, those kinds of experiences and struggles tend to fuel innovation or an
Yeah.
inspiration to change.
Yeah.
Like I always say, like whenever I hit a difficult patch, whether it be with my stream, with what I do with my business or something in my life, I always take it as like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to change things, to innovate. It's almost like a little exciting almost when I hit a struggle because I know, like, okay, this is a challenge. This is a challenge that I'll have to come up with a solution with to overcome. And I think that's a big lesson I took out of being an entrepreneur is, you
Yeah.
know, reframing how I look at problems. Because now I no longer look at a problem as, oh no, I'm failing, the sky's falling, it's now like, okay, like this is okay, I am being
How can
presented
we
with a
fix
challenge.
this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how can we fix this, and what like solutions are there for it? Because
Right.
9 times out of 10 there is,
Mhm.
there is some kind of way to fix it. There is some way. You are the captain of your own ship. You can steer that wheel away from the iceberg. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
keep
I'm
hitting
trying.
my
I'm trying
mic.
to do it. Yeah, my leap motion acts up so badly, but
Oh, no.
yeah, I'm
It's okay, I'll
trying.
do it for you.
Yeah, my
There you
buddy. Yeah,
go.
one of my VTuber friends is trying to set me up with Oculus hand tracking. He's trying to, like, yeah,
Yo,
I want to do the, yeah, because leap motion. I love leap motion. In the short
there's
time I've
some
tried it, but
problems.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some problems. There's some problems there, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that is where I think that's also where a lot of people get, inspiration to stream too, because
Yeah.
people want to be, either a role model or inspirational person for someone who
Linda.
may be going through the same troubles they have,
Yeah.
because that's something I sort of like, I sort of wanted to strive to do. Like, I don't want people to be like me, like, because I don't think I'm perfect by any measure, but I do, want to help people. Like, I want to help people learn. I want to, help people become aware of, like, societal problems, make them aware of like stuff going on in the LGBT community and like my own experiences, going through my transition and everything. Like, that's something I want people to be aware of, and I also want to be a role model for someone who might be going through the same stuff I'm going through, and have
Yeah.
people be able to look at me and be like, oh yeah, like she's getting by, she's doing it, she's like in her 20s and she's making it, that means I should be able to make it too, because like it's something I've been commonly told amongst my friend group, like, oh yeah, she's so inspirational, she's gone through so much, she does so many things. People like I've had multiple people nickname me Wonder Woman, and I'm like,
I
okay,
love
I
that.
guess I'm Wonder Woman now.
Wonder Woman.
Like,
Yes.
and
Oh, I like
I'm like,
that.
I guess that's me. I guess I'm like, I've inspired people just in my real life, not streaming. So I was just like, maybe this is something I could carry onto a platform and like spread, you know, spread some of that love to other people and have other people
Oh,
feel some in some way that they are in control, that they can change things, and that because a bunch of
yeah.
us millennials are lost right now. That's just kind of,
Right.
and but that's okay. That's okay. Like, I feel like a lot of us are pressured to have everything together in our 20s when we're all
It's
still in the
true,
early
man.
game right now.
Yeah, we're in the early game.
Yeah. Um. But
I love that though. That's cool that you're like, I want to take it to the next level. So then that's when you like thought about starting streaming. That's really cool.
yeah, yeah. Because it's like, I like, part of me wanted to do it to, like, for the tech aspect, but part of it was also like, part of it also came from a self-confidence perspective too, because I
Yeah.
wanted to. I'm gonna turn off my leap motion. My arms are just like going wild. uh,
Just go wee.
it's
It's okay. I understand this life. My hips always fly across the realms.
like but anyways, but like, another part of it also came from like self-confidence, because I've been
Yeah.
having like really bad confidence issues, going through COVID and everything. And like, I don't have many friends to talk to, outside it. So it's like, let me, it was another reason for me to try it. And and I figured putting on this like confident dragon girl persona like would help
Yeah.
boost my own confidence in real life, and it actually has.
Oh,
So like,
yeah.
so there were some like underlying like personal like spiritual wanting to like pursue stuff reasons behind me like making my avatar.
Yeah. That's beautiful to hear. That's and I never like really thought about it like that, how you can sort of convert it into like, well, I want to be like this confident like dragon girl. Like that's just really cool. I like that a lot. I really value your perspective there.
Yeah, thank you. Um
Yeah.
so